Chris Webber and Jalen Rose made up today. Jalen Rose and Chris Webber made up today, and they joined each other with the other two of the Fab Five members in support of their Fab Five brother, Juwan Howard, who is the coach of the Michigan Wolverines, as his team got a much needed win today, right? And I saw Jalen post a picture of him and C Web, and then he posted a picture of all of them in a group together. And y'all, I was elated to see that. I'm born in '93. I wasn't even alive to see the Fab Five be prominent and thriving. I was not. I wasn't alive to watch them and just see them in their heyday and their finest hour. I was not. But from watching the documentary to seeing these brothers individually speak about their time at Michigan, from watching the careers of Juwan Howard, Chicago's own Juwan Howard, Southside Chicago, like me, watching the career of Jalen Rose and Chris Webber, right? I'm like, yo, them brothers. Can you imagine them boys playing together? And when you research the style that they brought to college athletics, to hoops in general, right? The baggy shorts, they brought the street basketball bravado to the collegiate ranks, and they made it marketable. They made it trendy, but they were being authentically themselves, unapologetically black, and that was just dope to see, right? And I wasn't around to be watching it, right? But I'm watching that documentary, and I'm like, wow, them brothers was all standing, they was all standing together in solidarity for each other at every moment. And so when I watch Jalen Rose and Chris Webber have this falling out, and they don't speak and they throwing shots at each other in the media and they're separate from each other. Chris Webber is not even around to give his story about what happened on the Fab Five team. He's not even there to give any commentary. I'm like, yo, I know that hurt them boys that they can't all be together at one time, right? As a black man who's had instances where my other brothers have been at odds with each other, it hurt to be separate from them, and we all couldn't be together at one point. I got to go see this one individually. I got to go be over there with that one. We got to be split up. It never felt, excuse me, it never felt right. And when the moment when we reunited, man, it felt like it felt whole again. And the way I saw them, like the world is just cheering and smiling because they needed this. Seriously, Juwan Howard has had his ups and downs at Michigan. You got people that want him to be gone. They need his support. I mean, he needs their support. I'm sorry. And I think about Jalen and Chris being at odds with each other, and it was about taking what was the guy's name? Ed Martin, I believe his name was, or something, that gave money to Chris Webber, and Chris Ed was a guy that was like giving kids money, like looking out for kids that were in college, collegiate athletes, making sure they had some money to still be okay in college until they got to the league. He gave Chris a lump sum of cash. Chris never paid it back, and then everything would happen. They all got called in for Ed Martin giving money to the team, and Chris basically acted like Ed preyed on him and took advantage of him, and he was just like he was this cruel, vile person, and Jalen didn't appreciate that because he knew that Ed Martin looked out for him, right? Ed Martin took care of him and other kids. Hold on one second. Yeah, Ed Martin took care of him and other kids in the state of Michigan and made sure they were okay during their time that they went off to college. He like, yo, this dude was a great guy. He looked out for people. And Chris never paid him back and acted like he was a guy who took advantage of him that wasn't solid, and they had that rift. And I'm like, yo, it wasn't okay that Ed Martin died thinking that, like, with Chris making it seem like he was a person who took advantage of him, right? And I'm like, that ain't okay at all. That man's family needed that peace, to know for Chris to say what a stand-up guy Ed Martin was for him. But at the same time, I thought about Jimmy King and Ray Jackson, the other two members of the Fab Five, the Texas boys. And, they never had the illustrious careers of Jalen Rose, Chris Webber, or Juwan Howard. They never made the mega millions in the NBA. And I'm sure they're doing well in life. They seem to be doing well and happy, but they never had that that moment of triumph in the league. And so the Fab Five coming together and having these documentaries, it really means something for them because they never got to have that moment of real glory. And, you know, everybody wants the Fab Five together, not the Fab Four, not the Fab Three. And so now they get a chance to be able to come back to Michigan and to come back to Michigan and be joyous and celebrating the achievements of their brother Juwan Howard being the head coach. And they get to be able to come back to a place that they love so much. And you know they loved it because when Juwan Howard got the head coaching position at Michigan, he was crying, right? And so now they're able to be around fans and people who loved them and supported them, even though them banners need to be back up in the rafters. I just, especially with the NIL going on right now, you know, I just feel like a lot of that shit need to be swept under the rug and they need to be recognized by the university now. You know, and hopefully it happens for real. Officially, they get recognized and their achievements and the deep tournament runs they made get recognized by who knows. But this is a step in the right direction. But for black men to come together after having that hostility, and I gave the breakdown of what happened, not to tarnish or diminish Chris Webber in any way. I just wanted to provide context to why Jalen Rose and Chris Webber fell out. But I want to say this. That's beautiful to see them boys back together and speaking and back taking pictures and smiling with one another and showing real brotherhood again. You know, and I know it's probably been a while and it's been taking a while. It's probably been in the makings for a minute. But they're here now. And as a black man, I have to say this. A lot of people are used to seeing us at odds with each other in the media, right? Whether it be in rap music and sports, dissing each other, bad mouthing each other, talking down on each other, ready to fight each other at the turn, at the drop of a hat, calling each other all out our names and all that type of stuff. When you can see two brothers who are at odds with each other, two men who were once brothers at odds with each other for years, not speaking, you know, taking shots at each other, almost slandering each other's name, and then they can come together and say, I forgive you. Come on, man, you my brother. Let's come out and let's support our other brother. That means a lot. Not just to the college basketball world, but to black men in general to see that, man. We need to see men apologizing for their wrongs, and at the same time, we need to see guys figuring out a way to resolve conflict. Showing conflict resolution and, you know, putting water under the bridge. Forgiveness is key, but at the same time, head itching, I'm sorry. Forgiveness is key, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I talk about how in the hood, we don't have conflict resolution classes, right? And we need that in the curriculum. You know, you get into it with somebody, next thing you know, people just going from 0 to 30, 0 to 100, 0 to 300, ready to just, you have a disagreement. Now I'm disrespecting your mama. I'm punching you. I'm kicking you. I'm spitting on you. Just vile actions, right? And sometimes things can be resolved by simple conversation, communication, sit downs. So if you need a mediator, do that, right? But it is great to see. But I feel like the conflict, I'm glad is resolved because you show two black men being able to resolve or squash whatever problems they have for the greater good of another brother and for the sake of their brotherhood. But at the same time, I'm glad it has been mended because Ray Jackson and Jimmy King could really never had a glory moment as a Fab Five member while this was going on, especially for the younger generation to be able to appreciate, like myself. I'm 31 years old. You know, we never could really see them all together again because it was always drama with Jalen and Chris. So if you're talking about them, if you probably talking to Jimmy King and Ray Jackson, people probably were asking, hey, what's up with Chris and Chris Webber and Jalen Rose? What's going on? Are they going to ever be back cool again? Rather than talking about their glory days. And now they get a chance to bask in their glory. They get a chance to just come and hang together as brothers once again, man. And I am as a black man, I'm proud to see that. As a sports fan, it's dope to see. And, you know, I hope they continue to keep building their bond and keep coming together and grow together. it's a beautiful thing to see. And I hope that Juwan continues to have, success and he gets everything going in the right direction for the University of Michigan. But I saw that, I said, wow. I said, them boys back playing, with each other. And they beat Ohio State. Michigan is losing right now. They 7-10. Juwan needed this victory. Hopefully that good mojo or good juju that, this gracious reunion brought to this gracious reunion, the good mojo they brought together can keep coming, and they can keep being there to support their brother in a time where people want Juwan Howard gone. People questioning his leadership. You feel like, oh, he's a hot-headed person. Hey, man, come together for your brother. Put your arm around him and provide him with whatever he needs, whether it's consultation, advice. Well, yeah, advice is consultation, but yeah, man. If you want to just come there to be there for him for real, because Juwan needs it during this time period. But as I said before, it's great to see two black men resolve conflict peacefully, come together, and be back in the midst of the brotherhood that the world once saw them have. Machiavelli Mills TV, y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm out. Peace.